record now.
Why does every Galveston renter need renter's insurance?
Every Galveston renter needs renter's insurance to cover their contents in their home, apartment, whatever they're renting. You can rent a house, you can rent an apartment, you can rent a condominium. But when you're renting, all the items that you bring into that property, your insurance covers if they get stolen, if the place catches on fire and they get burned up.
If the place catches on fire, doesn't the building insurance cover that?
No. That's, a lot of people think that. They're like, oh, the person that owns it has insurance on it. But that insurance covers them. That insurance covers to rebuild that building to where it was before you moved into it. But whatever you bring into it, you have to have your own insurance policy to cover your own items.
Like your TV, couch, stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example too, like your kitchen. If your kitchen catches on fire, any things you bring into that kitchen, the Tupperware, anything gets damaged.
Is it Tupperware or Tupperware?
Tupperware.
I say Tupperware.
It's Tupper.
Are you sure it's not BB?
Yes. It's Tupperware.
I've never heard anybody pronounce it
Tupperware.
Tubber. Lacey, how do you pronounce Tupperware?
It's double P.
But how do you pronounce it?
Tupperware.
No, she doesn't. You don't say it like that.
I swear to God I do.
Okay.
Is it a bungee cord or a bungie cord?
Bungee.
I should say cabinet. How do you say that word?
Cabinet?
Cabinet?
My mom makes so much fun of me because I say cabinet.
Cabinet.
How do you spell
Cabinet. Cabinet?
how do you spell iCup?
So what?
iCup.
Hit me on that one.
I thought we were right in the middle of it. So my wife and her friend, like her whole family, they say like a button. They say button, like with D's.
Button.
Button. I'm like, it drives me insane. But then I say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they think I'm crazy.
Saturday.
Yeah. They're like, it's Monday, Tuesday. No, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And they all think I'm crazy. Somebody actually pronounces Tupperware the right way.
Tupperware.
I'm like, who says Tupperware? Like,
Tupperware.
You're not from here, are you?
She says breakfast.
Oh, yeah, that's not right.
She does. She says breakfast.
They both do.
Where's that from?
I don't know. She said it.
No. The ringer.
The ringer.
In the morning, I'm making breakfast.
I'm making breakfast.
Yeah. All right, quick question.
Okay.
If I get a renter's policy on my apartment, do I have to get a separate renter's policy if I have a downstairs garage that's separated from the apartment?
No.
It's all included?
Yes.
Why? Because
So-
it's two separate rooms.
Renters policies, you got to read the fine print. The policy we represent, you have 100% of coverage of those contents away from premises. So even those are still on the same property, right? Because you're renting that space. Typically, when you rent an apartment and it has like a detached garage, you're still renting that space. So that's all your contents in there are going to be covered by your policy
Because on the same property.
because they're on the same property.
But if I had like a storage unit that's off property, it's a separate policy.
No.
Really?
Depending on the renter's company you're using, like one of the ones we represent, it covers 100% away from premises. So if for some reason, let's say we'll use round numbers, you have a $50,000 renter's policy on your apartment, and then you have ABC storage units, and you're renting a storage unit, and you have $10,000 worth of contents in there. Let's say you lived in a 3-bedroom, now you're in a 2-bedroom, so you have a whole bedroom set in there, like, you know, your box spring, your mattress, all that stuff. And somebody breaks into it and steals it, or it catches on fire, you'll have your deductible on your renter's policy, but it covers all the contents that are in that structure
Really?
away from premises.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So a renter's policy covers anywhere that you're rent, depending on how the policy structure.
Correct. Depending on the policy, right? One of the older policies we had, it would only cover 10% away. So you could only get $5,000 away from premises. One of the policies that we represent right now covers a whole 100%. So even if you had $20,000, $30,000 in that storage.
Then what happens, speaking on that, like most people can't move a bedroom by themselves. So like if I have a friend that's with me and let's say like they get hurt in my unit, is that under my policy or is that under the building policy because they get hurt on premises?
So if it's in your apartment, and it's due to there's two different coverages on a renter's policy that we'll
Okay.
cover. So you can have medical coverage to cover friends, family, anybody that you bring into the unit, and let's say as they were helping you carry that mattress, they tripped over their own feet and fell and hit their elbow and chipped a bone in their elbow. They went to the hospital. Your medical coverage that you have on your renter's policy could extend to helping with the medical expenses on that certain issue. Let's say it is a similar situation, but you left one of the kids' toys out and somebody trips over the toy. And that's due to your negligence because it was your stuff, your property in the middle of the floor that they tripped over. And if they had, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 in medical expenses because they really got injured, they twisted their back, they hurt themselves really bad. And if they tried to sue you, your liability would extend to the damage that they sustained because you were liable because it was your property that tripped them and caused them damage because it wasn't where it was supposed to be.
So what if I'm at my storage unit and let's say like they're picking up like something heavy and it drops on their foot, but we're in my storage unit, but we're on premises, so I guess it still falls. Or even like say like walking over to my storage unit, but they're still helping me with my stuff and it's my stuff that hurt them.
You're stepping in a pretty gray area. That's
Well, that's where my thought process is. So it's like
no, yeah. So
it's not the premises fault. My stuff was there and hurt them. So I'm thinking it'd probably be on my renter's insurance, but I'm not in my unit.
But if you were liable for the damage, it was due to your negligence, something you did.
Okay.
You were negligent in. That's the fine line. Is were you negligent? Did you cause the problem?
This is where having a good Allstate agent comes into play.
This is where having a good agent comes into play to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And say, what happened? Let's talk about it. Let's go through it line by line so that you know if you
And then
have
go over some lines again just to make sure we understand that your liability is what matters.
Yes, your liability is hugely what matters.
And how much does renter's insurance cost? It's pretty cheap, right?
Very inexpensive. Compared to, please don't use the word cheap because nothing we have is cheap.
I'm sorry.
It's inexpensive.
Inexpensive.
Cheap has a connotation of poor quality. Inexpensive is good quality for a lower price. So, yes, it is inexpensive. It can be anywhere from $5 to $25 a month, depending on what coverage you have and where you are located.
Oh, that's really affordable.
It is affordable. Absolutely affordable.
I didn't even think about this. Temporary housing.
Right. Loss of use coverage.
Loss of use. And what do you mean by loss of use?
So an example would be kitchen fire. Let's say something happened in the kitchen burned up. You no longer had access to the ability to use your kitchen. You're in the process of repairs. The apartment complex is paying for the contractors to come in and remove all that stuff. You really can't live in your apartment while this is going on because you don't have a kitchen to be able to cook and provide meals for your family. So loss of use would be they would pay you the amount of money above and beyond your normal expenditures. With that being said, let's say your rent is $1,000 a month for your apartment. You've had to move out and now you're living in a hotel room that is, $1,000 a month as well. So you still have to pay your rent. So you have $1,000 for your rent, and you're paying $1,000 for the apartment. You'll get reimbursed $1,000 for the apartment. You won't get reimbursed your rent because that's not above and beyond your normal expenditures. I'll drill down even further. Let's say you're used to cooking in your kitchen, and normally you spend $500 a month on groceries. Now you moved into an apartment that doesn't have a kitchen because you're displaced from your home for the fire that happened in your kitchen, and now you're trying to find comparable housing that's close to you. You end up in a hotel room. So now you're dining out. And so now you're spending $1,000 a month on meals, dining out, where normally you spend $500 a month on groceries. That additional $500 is part of your loss of use coverage.
So they would give you the 1,000?
They would give you $500.
Oh, 500. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever's above and beyond your normal expenditures is what they're going to cover. What's above and beyond your normal expenditures. Okay. So you just articulate to them, you're going to show what your previous monthly expenses were, and then what your new monthly expenses are, and they'll show the trend Whatever's higher than what you were paying before because the new
Oh,
situation
okay.
you're put in is what they're going to cover to make sure you're not out of pocket.
Yeah, because I was confused there for a second. It didn't make sense on, but it's whichever of the two is higher.
You're right. Whichever you're.
Yeah, the first analogy with 1,000 is what threw me off because it didn't really, because they're equal numbers. So
Right.
But if it were yeah, okay.
You're in an apartment complex that you're paying $2,000 a month rent, and then you move into a hotel while this is getting repaired, and you're paying $1,000 a month for the
We'll pay the
hotel.
apartment.
Your $2,000 is your normal expenses, what you normally pay. This additional $1,000, they're going to reimburse you this additional $1,000
Okay.
because it's above what you're normally paying.
Okay. Now I get it. Okay.
Any additional out-of-pocket cost outside of your normal range of what you normally spend is what that is going to kick in and help with.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that wasn't clearly stated before. So like the loss of use coverage didn't really make sense until. So anything extra than what you would normally spend, they help you cover because of the added costs.
Correct.
So then, let's say like it wasn't my fault. Say like we have mold in the building, but that should be covered under premises insurance, or is that gonna be covered? Have to be covered? No, that's gonna be covered under premises, right?
The building, whoever owns the building, if the problem is due to their building, like it's not due to something you did in your apartment that caused the mold, but all the apartments in the complex, all the units in the complex are having mold issues, that's going to be something that's going to be remedied by the
Now, is that
insurance
something
on the
that,
building.
say like they're slow to, I mean, say you have 100 units, I mean, those insurance companies aren't going to be super fast even though they need to be. So like, is that something that I could put under my insurance and then let my insurance settle up with, or is that no? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when you look at your renter's policy, you need to look at all the covered perils, and it'll tell you what perils are covered, like fire, lightning, vandalism, malicious mischief, falling objects, theft on premises, theft off premises, your family liability, your guest medical protection. All that's going to be listed in your policy. So it's your responsibility, even though you have an agent helping you. I advise every single person to stop and take your time to read through the fine print, go over all the details so you can see what's covered on your policy and what's not.
Speaking of all those items you just listed, what is typically not covered under a renter's policy that most people don't know?
There's limitations on certain items like jewelry, watches, and furs.
Okay.
So they're high theft items. They're typically a smaller item that's easy to be lost or stolen. Those typically have a limitation. Also money. Like if people carry a lot of cash around, somebody breaks in and steals the cash, some policies have a limitation, $100, $200, $500. So there's limitations. And then on art, like if you have some high-end art or memorabilia, those are the type of items that you want to do what's called schedule. You're going to schedule the item for an all-risk coverage to make sure if you're at a restaurant, you're washing your hands, your wedding ring falls down the sink and you lose it, that would be covered by a scheduled personal property item on your renter's policy, but it is not automatically included.
Okay.
If the policy says it covers $250, if I lose my ring at a restaurant, first of all, that's not covered because it's not a covered peril. It's not fire, it's not theft, it's just mysterious disappearance, right? Meaning, I was washing my hand, it fell down the sink,
Right. So-
it just disappeared.
Wait, do I have that on my policy? I don't have one of those on my policy, do I?
You would only schedule if you have like nice,
I mean, I was like my wife's ring.
right? You would want to schedule that for all risk coverage.
I don't think we have that on my policy, do we?
I don't think so.
Are
Either.
those,
We can look into it.
Are those cheap?
They're inexpensive. Yes, they're not
Okay.
cheap. They're inexpensive.
Oh, sorry. Are they inexpensive? Because my wife's ring was not.
Yes, they are inexpensive. Your wife's wedding ring is not inexpensive, but the coverage for it is.
Say like it get burned up in the fire at my house. Is it covered under my home policy?
Up to the limit of the policy.
Okay.
So,
It depends on the policy.
right. So if your policy only has $500 in jewelry coverage and it burns up in a fire, they're going to give you $500.
I'm gonna be really mad at Sean because he only gave me $500 in coverage for my jewelry.
So yeah, people have high-end watches like Rolex, Breitling, Patek Philippe's. Those high-end watches, you want to make sure you have them scheduled.
Okay.
Any nice jewelry, you want to make sure to have that scheduled.
Probably need to make sure that's scheduled since we're about to be going on a cruise.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And
If you notice
And there is no deductible.
Whoa, what? There's no deductible on a scheduled policy?
Correct. So scheduled personal property, there is a $0 deductible. So
What's the caveat?
there's no caveat. That's just it. That's the way the policy covers.
But you said those are typically high theft items, though.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
There's also rates if you keep it in a safe deposit box. It's a little less rate as opposed to if you're having it at your house on your bedside table. That's a little bit more of a rate. But there are different scheduled options when it comes to jewelry, watches, and furs and arts, fine arts.
Interesting. Speaking of fire, I guess fire is covered under renters. Is flood covered under renters?
Flood is not covered in renters.
Really?
Correct. So if you have an apartment, if you're in an apartment complex, you're on the first floor, and the water rises up, like let's say you have a rainstorm, just stays over the top of you, and your apartment's like in the bottom of the whole complex, and it starts to fill up with water. That is not covered by a renter's policy.
Why?
Flood is not covered by any policy in the U.S. It is a separate coverage. National Flood Insurance Program didn't start until like the mid-'60s.
Can you get renter's flood insurance?
You absolutely can. You can
okay. So a regular renter's policy, no, but you can get a specialized.
You can get a flood insurance policy for your contents only. Correct.
I didn't know that either.
Yes.
Very interesting. Didn't realize how many different variations to insurance. I thought that's renter's insurance. I didn't realize that there was 15 parts.
That's why I said you got to read that policy fine. Because it's in there. It'll tell you. So in every insurance policy you have, you'll see there's a section under what's excluded. And it'll go over that with you line by line, saying this is excluded, these are things we don't cover. Intentional acts we don't cover. So if you have somebody that is in your apartment
or ex-girlfriend's beating down the door, comes in and breaks a bunch of stuff,
kicks
even
the
though
door
she doesn't
open.
live there anymore.
Yep.
She's got stories.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, apartments are getting more expensive.
Correct.
So most people do have roommates.
Correct.
So if I have a renter's policy on my contents in the building, it's just my contents, right?
Depends on the carrier. Some carriers will allow roommates to be on the same policy.
Oh, really?
So yeah, if you and I were going to college together and no relation, no brother, sister, no brother, cousin, no familial relation, just friends, some policies will allow two friends to be on one policy because you live in the same structure. Some say, nope, we only cover our insured. If that person wants coverage on their belongings, they need to have their own insurance policy.
Yeah, I think that would be a better move, at least in my opinion, because, people can just up and move out at any time, and then, it's just, you never really know.
Well, if it's yours and you own it, if I up and move out, you can call your insurance agent and go, hey, take that dude off.
Now that I'm thinking about it out loud, how does the insurance agency know what's mine?
It's what you articulate. It's what you tell us. Typically, what we recommend whenever we write a new renter's policy is we'll tell them, go around the apartment and take pictures, take video. I recommend that taking video is best because you can walk up to the item, let's say a TV. You can walk up to the TV and say, this is a Sony TV, and then look on the backside, model XD100. That's all. When you're saying it, they're seeing it, you're saying the model, the brand, all that stuff you're articulating is going to be in that video. So if and when something does happen, you just send them the video and say, look, here. A lot of times, it's recommended to keep receipts to show proof that you purchased something. We're in a digital age now. There's a lot of things where we can go out to the sites from where we bought things and document that information.
Yeah, very few people are paying things in cash that we can't
Correct.
trace. Yeah.
So usually we can trace that, but the more information you have, the better. So if you have a picture or video of that in your structure, you have a video of walking into your apartment and this is my TV, this is my couch, this is this, it's a much better identifier to show, yes, that was in my house.
Makes sense. Like when me and my wife were doing the house as a rental, I required my rentees through Airbnb to video when they got there and post it in the message chat. So, and they had to do it when they left too. So there was no, hey, this is the way it looked before, this is the way it looked after. There's no here you go.
It's a great CYA. Cover your anatomy.
Yep.
Or cover your assets.
Actual cash versus replacement cost on items in my thing. So like, some stuff depreciates, some stuff actually gets more expensive in the few years. So like, how does that work?
So this is a great question. So there are some policies that are actual cash value, which means they only pay you what you paid for the item, less the depreciation over the number of years you owned it. That's what they're going to pay you. So let's say this calculator right here. Let's say I bought this calculator from Office Depot and I paid $10 for it. On an actual cash value policy, what they would do is they would take the $10 that I paid for this calculator. If I owned it for 5 years, they would deduct the depreciation over the 5 years, and then they would give me like $3.72 for the calculator. On a replacement cost policy, they would say, you bought this calculator 5 years ago, you paid $10 for it. Now, the same calculator is $15, we're gonna give you $15.
Okay.
Because that's replacement cost. So you're replacing, they're giving you the dollar amount to replace the item with another item of like kind or quality.
Those policies are probably a little more expensive.
But not much.
Okay.
You want a replacement cost
Right.
policy. Now, let's say, same example, calculator was $10 5 years ago. You go to Office Depot and this calculator is selling for $4.99. They're going to give you $4.99 because they're replacing the item with another
Right.
item of like kind or quality.
So it's apparently like some things may be underinsured. How can you underinsure something? Like jewelry and stuff?
You could underinsure your items in the household by not doing like a true census of how much you have.
Like,
So
okay.
there are people that will come in and go, man, I only got like $20,000 worth of stuff. There's no way I have more than $20,000 worth of stuff.
Not realizing the actual cost of everything.
Right. So then you go in and go, wait a minute, I've got a PlayStation 5, I've got the new Xbox 360, I've got this Sony TV, I've got this, I've got that, I've got that.
I got these 16 fishing poles I didn't tell my wife about.
Exactly.
Or I told her like, actually, you know what's funny? I did that with my spear gun. She thought it was only $150 and it was a $500 spear gun. Well, she was happy when I was selling it.
Yeah, of course he was.
But when I told us, we were out with some friends and my friends looked over. He's like, how much did you pay for this? I go, oh, yeah, it's $150. And he's like, what? There's no way. I go, shut up. Like, don't say anything. He's like, this is a JB. I go, dup. And my wife looked at me. I was like, it's $150.
I found it on eBay. Somebody's getting rid of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because I can imagine people just coming in and be like, oh, I only have this. And they're not realizing, like, it's really
Oh
a
yeah,
lot more.
no, you can undervalue what you have, the amount of content you have in the structure, and not purchase enough interest.
Especially if it's roommates or, couples, but only one person came over. They don't really know the cost of everything. So,
Yeah.
like, that happens a lot. Because usually, most couples, only one person handles finances. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
It's usually the person that has more stuff.
A good insurance agency will have a home inventory sheet for you, and it goes room by room. So you can go in the living room. All right, what do I have in this room? Kind of write that stuff down. An easy way to do it is just figure out, take your laptop, go room by room, and go to Amazon and just see what it would cost, or Walmart, or wherever you bought the stuff, and just see what it costs to replace these items. Add all that stuff together, and you're like, whoa, hold on. You got to think about everything in your apartment.
Which, speaking of everything, pets. A lot of people have pets these days.
Mm-hmm.
I know that pet insurance is probably separate,
Pet insurance is separate.
but that's on the animal, right? What about the contents, like their things?
That's under your renter's policy
Okay,
because you're the owner of it.
right.
You own the pet, and you own their stuff.
And then there might be extra endorsements. What extra items might I have to add to either my renter's or my pet policy to make sure I'm still covered? Or what exactly is all covered under a pet policy?
So pet policy usually takes care of their medical type stuff. If they, get injured or they get sick and go to the veterinarian, that's a pet policy is going to help pay those expenses. And so you pay same thing like renters or auto, or you pay a monthly fee. And then when you go into the veterinarian's office, there's a deductible, and then after the deductible, the policy kicks in and pays. And they have line items on what services they pay for and those type of details. And there's discounts on some of them for their annual checkups just to make sure they're staying healthy and that kind of stuff.
Are pet policies inexpensive?
Pet policies are inexpensive.
Suggest people to get that if they have pets, or
Absolutely. A pet policy is going to, if anybody's had a pet before, they understand those veterinarian costs can get pretty expensive depending on what happens to the animal. You yourself know what vet bills look like.
It's the emergency ones that get you.
Yes. So having those policies will help relieve those expenses that you have. There is, again, a cost associated with the premium monthly, but when you have those big accidents, those big opportunities, they can be there to help you out.
Anything you want to say that we maybe have missed about renters policies in Galveston, Texas?
So renters policies, the one thing I would absolutely recommend, it has become a trend in the last 10 years for apartment complexes to require tenants to get liability coverage.
I mean, I had to have it when I was renting, and that was over 10 years ago.
Right. The apartment complex could care less the amount of coverage you have in your contents, but they're worried about that liability coverage because when you have the liability coverage, anything that you do, the apartment complex doesn't have to pay for. And they get cheaper insurance on their whole complex when the individual apartment renters have their own coverage. They require $100,000. I would recommend get $300,000. And the reason being, typically it's not that more a year, like $12 a year on some policies.
Oh, yes.
It also, let's say you live on a second or third floor, and God forbid you accidentally leave the bathtub or the kitchen sink running.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And it overflows. The damage that does to all the units below you and their stuff in there, you're responsible for because you were the one that left it on. Now, if there's a hot water heater and the pipe breaks and it floods, that's the apartment complex. That's what their policy pays for. But your insurance covers for any damage, and if it goes sideways. So you got to think about.
Yeah.
Also, let's say you have a candle, gets knocked over, catches the place on fire. You end up burning 2, 3, 4 units or more. That's coming out of your pocket first. So, recommendation is to go to at least $300,000 on the liability coverage, and then make sure you got all of your assets accounted for so that you have the proper coverage in case something like that does happen. You can raise your deductibles on your renter's coverage, but I would look at how much lower the premium would go by raising it because it's typically not that much, and an annual premium on a renter's policy is typically not that much as it is anyway, right? So it most likely not be beneficial for you to raise your deductibles to a higher limit to offset the premium unless you're just in a spot where whatever the premium is they're charging is more than you want to spend and you're okay with coming out of pocket more money in the event something happens, then you could look at that to offset cost.
That's helpful knowledge.
Because, I mean, the terminology insurance poor comes up a lot. And I mean, if you think about it, talking about what we just discussed, your auto insurance, then you get your renter's insurance. And in the renter's insurance, your wife has a wedding ring, you have a wedding ring, you have a nice watch. Now you got this scheduled personal property coverage. It can all add up. So it's,
trust me, I know.
It's super important to make it bespoke to you and spread the risk on all of it. Look at all your deductibles, make the adjustments where you can spread the risk of that premium to make it affordable, but also still have the coverage there.